Hello and welcome. Good evening. Thank you all so much for joining us for this week's episode of the Upskill Forum. I am Vince, your CEO and co-founder of Agile Consulting Group, and I'm here with
TJ, also known as Thaddeus. I'm your president and co-founder of the Agile Consulting Group. Welcome to another Tuesday of the Upskill Forum. We are so happy that you are here with us today. This is our favorite day of the week.
Yes, it is.
How's your week going, Vince?
It's going pretty good. How about for you?
Same here. I always talk about the weather. I don't know. It's cold here in Wisconsin, like very cold. It actually skipped fall, and we've just moved directly to winter. I'm actually putting up my Christmas tree later on tonight. It's officially time for Christmas.
Do you even own a Christmas tree?
I mean, like, just go with it. I don't own a Christmas tree, but in my mind, I'm putting up a Christmas tree. I'm not actually going to put it up. See, like, this is what I'm talking about.
I mean, I guess I was just asking for clarity, but, there's that. I think you might have missed your calling as a meteorologist, TJ.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, just like literally just skipping all the way directly to winter is totally crazy. But I will say, I'm actually from my other role that I serve in during the day. I'm actually on vacation all week. So it's actually been very nice to focus on some other things and kind of like we talked about during the Upscale Forum, how you unplug and make sure you have that self-care and doing what's best for you. So that's been a little bit of what I've been doing. But how about you, Vince?
Day was pretty good. Lots of meetings today. So that was pretty good. I'm working from home. So I also watch my nephew during the day. So that's always a unique and different experience each time.
The poor kid, he's probably watching himself if Vince is watching him. It's kind of just free for all. Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, good old TJ. On that note, let's jump into tonight's topic. We have such an exciting topic. But before we go any further, for those of you who are just joining us, I am Vince, your CEO and co-founder of Agile Consulting Group, and this is
TJ, also known as Thaddeus,
our president and co-founder of Agile Consulting Group. So make sure that you go ahead and start that watch party, share this video with your network. We definitely believe that those that are connected to you can really glean from tonight's topic, which is navigating with a lack of training. Navigating with the lack of training. I tell you, I have a personal story that I'll share later on in the episode that is in relation just to tonight's topic. Probably was one of the most frustrating periods of times of my life. But we'll get into that a little later. But we always like to kick off with a quote. I believe that tonight's quote is very befitting for the topic at hand, which is navigating with a lack of training. So TJ, I'm going to have you read the comment. Not the comment, the quote. I'm going to have you read the quote to us tonight.
Very good quote for tonight. Tell me and I forget. Mm-hmm. Teach me and I remember. Involve me and I learn. This was a quote that was given by an unknown person, but I think it's a very befitting quote because when you think about training and just how to navigate, these are key factors that are so very important. You can tell a person all day long, and it's so easy to forget what that individual said. I think it's so important to teach because when you have a mindset to teach, it does help you to remember and you change that thought process and how you teach. And then when you have that hands-on experience and involve that individual, which is me, I like to touch, I like to feel, I definitely will learn.
I think it's important to also really know your learning styles too, because there are individuals that are very independent and like to figure things out. And then there are some individuals that may need a little bit more direction. Both is totally fine. I think it is really just discovering and knowing what method works best for you and not being afraid to ask for that assistance when those times arise when you do need it. Mm-hmm. So, point number 1, ask questions concerning training during the interview. This is so huge, you guys. This is truly one of the things that's going to save you all a headache. There's always a segment during your interview. You've answered all of their questions. They open up the floor for you to ask them questions. That is a prime opportunity to get a good understanding of what is your training like? How long is the training? What method of training do you all provide? Is it virtual? Is it modules? Is it in person? Is it a classroom setting, one-on-one? Is it on the job training? Tell me a little bit more about the type of training you guys offer. I think that question in itself can save someone a headache. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I talked about being an experience that I had. I remember I started a job and I wish I would have asked this question. You guys, I kid you not, I ended up being in training for 8 months straight, 8 months. And I never learned my job function. I was so frustrated. I was irritated. Like every day, waking up, going to work was like a chore. So me being an overachiever, what I did was I ended up contacting different ones from different departments. I ended up surveying employees in the location in which I worked. Asked them about their onboarding process. What are your day-to-day functions? Because I knew that some of my job functions would overlap theirs. And what I ended up doing was I ended up putting together a training module for what onboarding a brand new employee should look like. So they've never worked for this company before. These are things that you guys need to take into consideration. This is how much time needs to be spent in each department. And these are the types of things that they should be learning. But definitely was a frustrating period of time for me. Had I asked that question and had they not been able to provide me with the answer that I wanted to hear, I would have bypassed that job opportunity. But unfortunately, I did not ask the right questions.
I think you hit it on the head, Vince. Asking the right questions, listening during your interview is one way to really make sure that you're setting yourself up for success. Not only does that employer need you, or maybe let me rephrase that. Not only do you need that employer, but that employer needs you. But you want to make sure that you're the right fit for the job. And if this is a company that does not, have training and things like that, maybe that's your skill set. So to look at Vince's point, he went in, developed a curriculum, put something together to help, but maybe that's not something you're good at. So it's so important that you ask the right questions, that you are listening during your interview, because training is huge. And oftentimes individuals will go into a new job and they're not given the tools that they need to succeed. They're not given the opportunity to really learn. So it is so important that should always be a question that's asked. Now, what I would want to hear from an employer is some of those key points that come out during the interview. How is my performance going to be evaluated? Talking about training, how you get to that next level. So making sure that you're asking the right questions, but also listen to see if they're going to share some of this information with you.
And also, too, frequency. How often are these things happening? I definitely think that is a huge piece. And I guess as we're talking about that, too, this isn't along the lines of tonight's topic, but even compensation. Do you guys do annual merit increases? So those types of things are important. Annual bonus, like what is that structure like? But we'll talk about that in a different episode. Talk to fellow colleagues about training they have had. So as I mentioned before, with the experience that I had, I ended up surveying the entire branch because I needed to know what type of training did you guys receive? What type of information was given? How did you get to where you are? Like who did you work with? Because that's an opportunity for you to possibly connect with those same individuals so that you can reap the same success as the successful ones that you are working with have.
I oftentimes say I work smarter, not harder. Mm-hmm. I don't want to have to reinvent the wheel and, be on the internet looking up stuff or the internal sites looking up things. Networking, talking with your team. When you start a job, definitely don't go into that employer and and kind of isolate yourself. It's so important to have communication with the individuals that you work with. Just like Vince said, he created a resource for him, but just think about that. You asking the right questions of your counterparts to understand what resources do they have. I can think about my mother. She worked at a company where she pretty much made a manual for everything that needed to be done, so that once she left, she was able to leave that there so that they could continue to be efficient. So making sure that you are asking the right questions, making sure that you're taking notes. And oftentimes employers will look at that and say, wow, you are a great asset to the team. And these are other things that you may be able to do to help even expand your portfolio. So keeping an open mind, even when going into these types of roles and maybe training hasn't happened, but you have that skill set, it's something to add to your portfolio. Yeah. I've developed curriculum. I have been a trainer. These are opportunities for you to really help your team and maybe the company that you work for.
No, I agree wholeheartedly. And then also too, ask your colleagues, hey, is there an intranet, which is pretty much a company's internal Google system where you're able to locate information? Because understand, starting any type of job, you're not going to know everything. You certainly won't know everything, especially within the first year, but you need to know where to locate your resources and how to find information. And this will definitely help you be a self-sufficient employee.
And last thing before we go on, document. So as you're going through training and things like that, this guy right here has a file for everything. He's probably one of the most organized people that I've met. Not my testimony. I'm not that good at that. But when you're starting a new job, it's going to be important. Create folders within, the software that you have. Make sure if you can use a USB drive, let this be your best friend. Save that information so that you can have a resource to go back to. But organization, being organized is huge. You can't blame everything on your employer if you're not doing your due diligence to make sure that you are making tools for yourself. And I could even say one thing that Vince just hit on is how often is training happening? So many times they'll send you off for training, but you don't take advantage of it's given to you. The next thing you know, you're back in the office and you're like, I forgot. Make sure you're doing your due diligence to retain as much information that you can.
Absolutely. And that's not the time to zone out, catch up with, friends or text or anything like that. Make sure that you're actively listening and utilizing the information because it will come in handy at a later date. Find out the company's policy on training for your job. So TJ just kind of touched on that piece a little bit, but when you find out the policy, that goes in terms of frequency. Will you lose access to systems if certain trainings aren't completed? Where can I find the trainings as well? Where do I sign up? Is my manager responsible for these things? I think that that's important because guess what? When certain things aren't happening and certain trainings aren't getting done and they reach out to you, you need to be able to speak up for yourself and have an answer. Because the training department can reach out, compliance can reach out, a senior manager can reach out because your name showed up on the report, and you may need to provide insight on what is happening, because guess what? You need to be able to speak up for yourself and account for why certain things is or is not happening.
Vince, you said a whole lot. What was the topic again? I was serious.
Find out the company's policy on training for your job.
No, I agree. It is important to find out that piece. And I think one of the reasons it is so important is because it's going to help you be set apart so that you can honestly show that you have that drive and you want to know. Some companies are looking for self-starters. Some companies are looking for individuals that will think outside the box and not always have the mentality where you didn't train me, you didn't show me. Some companies don't have those tools in place, but are you that individual that's going to ask the right questions, that you're going to dig a little bit deeper? Because honestly, a lot of companies are oftentimes the same, from depending on what it is that you need to learn and what it is that you need to navigate and know how to do. But it's really just digging into it. The internet has so many resources out there, but make sure that you are investigating to know what training programs they are, that's out there, so that you can, learn from it. But if there are programs that's out there, you may be that individual that can help, kind of like Vince did in his stance to get to that next level.
Absolutely. And enlist your manager's assistance in finding alternate resources to enhance the training. Sometimes the training that you need, the company that you work for simply just can't provide it to you. So that means sometimes you may need to ask your company that you work for to if you have a corporate card and they allow you to sign up for different training, sign up for different webinars that's going to help enhance your skill sets, so that you can apply some of the things that you learn to your actual job. They may fly you out to a conference that's happening. Employers invest into their employees, but you need to make sure that you are worth the investment. And think of it from this standpoint. If the company that you work for offers tuition reimbursement, that's an investment in you. So if there's different trainings out there that you see that you really think you could benefit from, that goes hand in hand with your job functions and descriptions and duties, by all means, have a conversation with your manager and express your interest in attending that training. And make sure that you add the benefits in your proposition that you're posing to your manager, and letting them know, hey, by me attending this training or attending this webinar, I'll be able to learn X, Y, and Z, which would help me in this category, this department, and with this person. And honestly, if you present it to your leader right, I would be shocked if they tell you no. So as you're seeing different webinars and things like that, that's out there. Ask your employer, if I attended this webinar, provided you all with the receipt, would you guys reimburse me for it? So don't be afraid to ask for that investment in yourself.
No, I agree with that. I think one thing that's very important when you think about leveraging your manager, making sure that you are including your manager has a responsibility to you as the leader of that group, but you have a responsibility to your manager to make sure that you are telling them, hey, I'm confused. Hey, I don't understand this. So many times as employees, we will not want our manager to know that the light bulb is not turning on. So we don't speak. We will oftentimes keep quiet and try to figure it out ourselves. It's great. And that's one of my, if I can have a transparent moment, that's one of my areas where I struggle with. I don't like to ask for help. I will try to figure it out on my own when I could have just maybe used a lifeline and just asked my manager for assistance or a coworker. But understand the importance of really utilizing your manager, making sure your manager knows everything that's happening, making sure that your manager knows, hey, I am confused. This makes no sense. Because once you've done that, that's now on your manager's responsibility to ensure that they've done their part in making sure that they're there to help you.
Absolutely. And document the important issues that you were not taught. This is extremely important because guess what? What you don't know, you are responsible for, especially as it relates to your job function. If you, say, for instance, have been on a job and you've been requested or summoned to do X, Y, and Z, and you don't know how, that can very much so result in your termination of employment. So you need to make sure that you're asking for the help that you need. You're asking for the assistance that you need. Documenting anytime you've asked for help and what that manager's response was. Document anytime it was something that you felt that you should know and you asked for additional assistance and they declined you that right to education. So you want to make sure that you really document these issues, because what you don't know can hurt you, and it very well so can result in your termination.
No, I agree with that, Vince. Quick story. So I worked for a company, and basically the training was terrible. They didn't even have training, to be honest. It was kind of like, here, sink or swim, figure it out. I was located here in Wisconsin. They were located in a different state, and the manager was located in a different state from where the headquarters was. And they had no idea really kind of what was going on. They weren't able to connect the dots. So I started documenting, hey, I need help. No one's been able to help me. I'm asking questions. I can't find the resources. And I kept a very detailed file of everything that was happening. Let me tell you, I stayed in that role for, I don't know, a couple of months. And honestly, I'm like, this is not for me. I don't know what you guys are doing, but this is just not going to work. Long story short, reached out to HR. HR was like, well, what documentation do you have? What can you show me showing that you've reached out for help? I sent all the emails directly to HR. They're like, okay, let's have a conference call with the manager, talk with the manager. And in the company that I worked for, you have to be in your role for at least a year before you can leave and go to a different department. Well, because I did my due diligence, I was able to leave that role, go into a different role, and still, keep my integrity as an employee because I did the right thing. So it's so important that you always document, you do your due diligence with trying to learn the role, that you have reached out, and leverage that help, because oftentimes it's easier to point the finger and say what they didn't do. But my question for you as a manager is, what did you do?
That was really good, TJ. I might give you an offering for that one.
I'll take it.
And then also to be prepared to file a formal grievance if things do not get better. You aren't just having these conversations just for your health or just because you enjoy talking to your boss. You're having these conversations to provoke change. So don't just view it as a tick mark and saying, yep, but be prepared to take action behind the things that aren't happening. Because if it's not happening, guess what? It's going to impact you tremendously. And if you don't get it under that leadership, guess what? Another manager is going to come, and you need to be prepared to answer to them, because they're going to want to know why you don't know how to do your daily job functions.
It's okay to file a grievance. Mm-hmm. It's okay. My request as a manager who has been in leadership most of my career, I want to know, and even my background in HR, what did you do before you run throwing darts at your manager or throwing darts at the leadership team in your department? What did you do to make sure that you have dotted every I and crossed every T? If you've done that and you still have not received the help that you need, then yes, follow formal agreements with your HR department, follow formal agreements with your leadership team. Hey, I'm not getting the help that I need, but that's where you just want to make sure that you are documenting, and that you are doing everything you can as an employee to make sure that you're honestly being the best employee that you can. It is unfortunate. There are some employers that just don't have good training departments. But again, when you piggyback to the beginning of this episode, we talked about making sure that you're asking those types of questions so that you are protecting yourself. It's almost like I made a mistake. I purchased a car not too long ago, and it was a V8. I had no idea it was a V8. I thought there was a hole in the gas tank. So I took the car back, and I'm like, this car, something wrong with the gas tank. And they're like, no, sir, you bought a V8. I'm like, well, take the car back. I didn't do my homework. I just like the way the car looked. You may think the employer is a great employer, but if they don't have training in place, you are going to struggle unless you are really a self-starter and you are an individual that can navigate through these challenging times and make sure that you can reach that next level. So make sure you're asking questions and document.
Very well said. Now it is time for our Q&A segment. So go ahead and drop those comments down at the bottom so myself and TJ can answer them for you all. Looks like we got Charlissa James. She asks, I always ask, will my performance be evaluated? Such a good question to make sure that you ask when job offers are being made. Michelle Tanner, so true. I hope young people are really listening. Great information. Thank you so much, Michelle, for tuning in for those kind of words. I really do hope young people are listening as well. This is definitely information that can help a lot of individuals if they take heed to it. Tanisha Mack, very good information, guys. Thank you much, Tanisha, for being such a faithful watcher of the Upskill Forum. Samuel Hogan, well said. Thank you again for being a faithful watcher of the Upskill Forum. And Michelle Tanner, once again, she said, yes, document, document, document. You heard it from us. You heard it from Michelle. So guess what, you guys? That means that you need to take this information and apply it. Document, document, document.
Got to.
It will save you a headache, and it very well so can save you a lot of time.
They say if it's not documented, it didn't happen. Facts.
Awesome. So now it is time for our announcements before we let you guys go. Registration for our Secrets to Earning Your Worth webinar is open. You guys may have seen the marketing going out for that. Make sure that you take time to register for this webinar. This webinar is filled with industry professionals that work in these industries firsthand, that have extended job offers, that have been at the negotiation tables, helping individuals negotiate and renegotiate their salaries, build their resumes, learn the interviewing concepts, leveraging LinkedIn, and also too how to establish a personal and a solid brand. This information is so dynamic, it's so down packed. TJ and myself, we both have applied these practical steps, and it has helped us to get to where we are today professionally. So, in our profession, we are officers in the company in which we work for. TJ is actually a VP. Many of you may not know that, but we have truly utilized this information, utilized these steps to reach a high level of success, even in our own personal careers. So we encourage you all to register for this webinar so that you are able to gain the opportunities that both myself and TJ have been afforded.
Vince, how do they register?
You can register by following our Facebook page, LinkedIn page. We have the links in our bio, which you can click on the link and it'll take you right to the registration page. Registration is also on demand. There's multiple time slots throughout the course of the day and please just choose and pick the time slot that works best for you. That way you can make sure that you're able to get registered. It's a small investment of $75 for this content, but guess what? $75 when you compare apples to apples, $75 or up to a $25,000 annual increase. You pick, you choose what's most important, $75 or I'd rather make a $75 investment to increase my earning potential by $25,000. That's how much myself have even received an annual increase just by changing companies in which I work for and applying these steps. So I really encourage you all to do the same.
And then meet us here every Tuesday at 6:30 for the Upskill Forum. Hey guys, we love meeting with you all. Continue to send us topics, things that you want to talk about, things that are important to you. Talk to us so that we can share that information with you every Tuesday right here at 6:30. Get your popcorn, some snacks. Let's just talk for 30 minutes of very well good information that's going to help you continue to exceed and help you live agile.
Absolutely. And make sure that you schedule your one-on-one consultation today by emailing us at engageus@agile-consultinggroup.com. We consult with individuals that's looking to advance in their career. So we provide career coaching. We also provide leadership consulting, as well as business consulting as well for startups and existing business owners that's looking to expand their products and services that they offer and really want to scale their existing business model. So make sure that you schedule that with us.
And join our private group, the Agile group on Facebook. This group is where we share information. Actually, I want to share with you all that starting in the year of 2021, this upskill forum will actually only be shared in the Agile group. As we continue to have special guests come on and really just have information that's exclusive just for this group. So we encourage you right now, as soon as this is over with, go find that group. We want you to become a part of it. I can't talk straight for some reason, but we definitely want to get you a part of it because the information that will be shared in there will be exclusively just for those individuals.
And if to find the link at ease, just go to our business Facebook page, Agile Consulting Group. There's a link right there at the top of the page. It says join group. Click that. It'll take you right to the Agile group. On that note, also make sure that you like us on Facebook and LinkedIn, follow us on Instagram, and make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel at Agile Consulting Group, where you'll receive updates and information on the happenings we have going on. So with that being said, thank you all so much for tuning in to this week's episode of the Upskill Forum, Navigating with a Lack of Training. Once again, I'm your CEO and co-founder, Vince.
Thaddeus, also known as TG. I am your president and co-founder.
And as we always end each of our upskill forums with our motto, live agile, work agile, succeed agile. Thank you all. Until next week, our friends.
Thank you.